This week, Click is back in Japan with shooting stars, cucumbers, and bouncing bubble warriors. If I say to you, Japan, what comes to mind? The bright lights? The winding roads? The manners, the respect? The wild abandon? The calm? The chaos? Or is it the food? Oh, the food. And don't forget the culture, that crazy, cartoonish world of myths and monsters. And of course, there's that insatiable, unconditional love of tech. And it's robots, not Godzilla, that will probably come to this country's rescue in the face of a major societal problem. Japan has an aging population. Many more people are retiring here than are being born, and that means that the workforce is reducing by an astonishing 700,000 people every year. Filling the gap, it has been suggested, will be robots like these. In the West, we're quite fearful about robots taking our jobs, but here, it seems like it's a necessity. Kawasaki's Duaro is unusual amongst industrial robots. It's not been built for a specific purpose, but is designed literally to fill the gap left by a human. It takes up the same space as a person. It can be wheeled to wherever it's needed, and its two arms can be programmed to do a variety of different jobs using a simple tablet interface. Here, it's making sushi, testing electronics, and drawing a, well, pretty decent portrait. I'm very kindly ignoring my wrinkles. It's a practical solution to a very real problem. But the thing I love about Japan is its desire to give technology a friendly face, a personality. One of the many projects hoping to be ready for the onslaught of visitors to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics is this translator bot to help tourists bridge the language gap.
Konnichiwa.
I'd like to order salt and pepper, please.
塩と胡椒は何を注文したいのですが。
It may seem totally unnecessary to put a robot front end on what is in effect a simple smartphone translation app, but Tokyo is a place with different priorities. It is, after all, a city where the lack of living space means that pets can be rented by the hour.
There's salt and pepper.
Why are we demonstrating the robot in a Hedgehog cafe? Well, because the bunny cafe upstairs was full.
What do I do now?
Oh, and if you're wondering, I did feel a slight prick. Anyway, the point is that this country has a real love of robots. And it's not just embracing the humanoid forms from science fiction, it is embracing the brains, the artificial intelligence too.
I
think that the Japanese consider artificial intelligence and robots as almost the same thing. In other words, robot contains AI and the robot is controlled by AI. As this notion is easy to grasp, the Japanese have favorable views on robots. In animated films such as Astro Boy and Gundam, robots are depicted as something that protect or support humans. Therefore, in my opinion, The Japanese feel familiar with the idea that we can do things with robots or AI.
And in fact, Japan holds more patents in artificial intelligence than any other country, including the US. And just to prove that Japanese AI isn't bound to a human form, we've come to a cucumber farm, 180 kilometres southwest of Tokyo. A year ago, automobile engineer Makoto Koiki came here to help his parents, and he soon saw that there was some engineering to be done.
Every day I see my mother sorting cucumbers from noon till 10 at night. I felt I had to do something to help solve this problem. It's not good for my mother's health. The difficulty of sorting is that there are many criteria to look at: the length, thickness, whether it's bent or not, colour, whether it's turned yellow or not, whether it is diseased or if there is any damage.
The turning point was the public release of TensorFlow, Google's open source software library for machine learning. And although Makoto had never used the technology before, he was amazed by the accuracy of the system when he fed it images of cucumbers for the first time.
My sorting machine has 3 cameras. The cucumber is filmed from 3 different angles, then the images are compressed and sent to the TensorFlow software. TensorFlow uses previously studied cucumber images to rank it and make the assessment, and based on that, the cucumbers are carried on the conveyor belt to their designated location. So far, I have taken about 9,000 images for the machine to make these selections.
This is his second prototype, and although the system is still slow and needs improvements, it's very affordable for the small farm. It took about half a year to develop and cost Makoto only about 70,000 yen. In comparison, large, high-end sorting systems cost tens of millions of yen.
At present, this couldn't be put to much practical use because it can flick and drop the cucumbers and cause damage when it's carrying them on the conveyor belt. And it's slow, so I have to improve on this for it to be practical.
Makoto thinks that in the future this system can easily be modified to sort other vegetables, and that means AI may eventually help his family to spend less time sorting crops and more time fighting the effects on those crops of the increasingly unpredictable weather. Japan, after all, loves predictability. If you've ever travelled by bullet train, well, you'll already know that. The trains themselves are beautiful, and the precision in motion is also a delight to watch. Internally, the train schedules are broken down into segments of just 6 seconds. And seconds are also the unit in which delays are measured. But some of the train systems here do suffer regular delays caused by accidents and overcrowding, amongst other things. And when commuters start to choose alternative routes and hop onto otherwise quieter trains, the knock-on effect is felt across the entire transport network. And it turns out that that extremely complex ripple effect can now be estimated using a lot of processing power. I'm being shown an app which uses AI to predict train delays before they happen. The system has been created in part by Fujitsu and has looked at a mountain of previous train delay data. It's learned how the network was affected by each incident. It can then have a pretty good go at predicting the ripple effects of a certain problem in a certain location at a certain time of day. Users are then given alternative route suggestions that won't carry them into the likely ensuing melee. It's a somewhat more grounded tech idea than many that I've seen here, but it does seem to me that Japan is getting more practical and less far-fetched. Though I'm not sure if that's because it's coming back to the present, or whether the rest of us are just catching up with the future.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Tech. It was the week that the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Philip Hammond, announced that the government is to spend almost £2 billion on cybersecurity. The Chancellor said that the UK was under threat from foreign actors and must be able to retaliate in kind against cyber attacks. And watch where you're going. A new strap for the Apple Watch should satisfy smartwatch wearing shutterbugs. The camera strap features two cameras, one front-facing 2-megapixel job for selfies and one rear-facing 8-megapixel camera. With the pre-order price starting at $199, it's not cheap. Of course, you might ask why Apple never thought of it in the first place. Now, we all know that smoking damages your health. Enter the robot that smokes, so humans don't have to. Researchers at Harvard University have built a chain-smoking droid complete with a lung on a chip that allows scientists to monitor the impact of smoke on human cells. Sticking with machines mimicking mammals, a team at the University of Tokyo has created a humanoid robot called Kengoro, which sweats when it gets too hot. The complex system of motors which allows the machine to move are prone to overheating, so its designers created small gaps across its body, which allows water to seep out of it. I'm not entirely sure I'd want to be trapped in a lift with that robot, though.
And now for something completely different. Something futuristic. Something superhuman. This is the home of the Superhuman Sports Society, a collection of tech and sports enthusiasts who are devising a whole new world of competitive games. Games that may one day be played with assistive technology or even in zero-G. And they've challenged little old me to a best of three. 3 sports, 3 opponents, and 1 winner.
Okay, good. So you can shoot the energy ball.
Right, shoot the
Okay.
energy ball. I just shoot an energy ball.
Okay.
I just have to shoot the other person. First up, a game of Hado. And we're off! A shootout between myself and creator Hitoshi Araki. The winner is the player who blasts away their opponent's protective petals first. This is a hugely physical augmented reality game. It's fast, confusing, with shields and balls flying everywhere, and spectators have to watch through screens which add the same graphics to the playing arena that I'm seeing firsthand through my headset. But, unbelievably, it's Team Click that wins. Now, at the moment, these games are admittedly using relatively basic technology, but this group of researchers is looking to a future where the tech is not an issue and sport is open to all.
We just want to play those kind of games with everyone without thinking about some like disability and aging. So now we're making a lot of games which doesn't need to think about those kind of differences.
Round 2, Kariotto, the chariot race. This will be a time trial around a course of random bits and bobs that we found lying about in the room. And this time it's Keisuke Onoda against Click, and he's got some serious ground to make up. This is amazing fun. A motorised wheel which you steer with your feet, some reins, and your backside on a wheelie tray. Keisuke came in at 25.5 seconds, but would you believe it? Team Click tears home in 25.1. With an unassailable lead, it's now time to go for the full house in what has to be the most terrifying match I've ever entered. It's called bubble jumping. Now, before I go into the ring, here's a demonstration by 2 experts. Yes, it's sumo on stilts inside bubbles. Really? You want me to do that?
Oh my goodness! All right, I think.
I am as sure on my feet as a newborn pony.
Hold the ball. Okay?
I'm remembering what we planned.
happened on the way over here was, yeah, Sven, you're going to have a competition with someone and you're going to fight them in this.
Did I win?
Well, 2-1's not bad, and I avoided a broken, well, everything. So how do you follow that? Well, fortunately, I don't have to. Here's Dan Simmons, who's just picked up his new mobile phone.
Take a look at this monster. Okay, I had to go for the $500,000 2-year contract, but the network rocks. I'm pushing the future around a bit because when it happens, we won't need to carry our handsets. We'll have an electric trolley to do the donkey work. Unless someone shrinks them. Fortunately, that's exactly what the likes of Samsung and Apple have 3 years to do before the new mobile 5G networks launch. Yes, this is all about 5G, the thing no one really gets. So I've come here to see what the next-gen phone network will mean for all of us. NTT is one of just a handful of mobile firms, including Nokia, you remember Nokia, leading the world in 5G research. 5G won't replace 4G, it'll just save its bacon. Because 4G may be fast, Kevin, but it can't do this. Most of us would love one of these. The picture is 4 times as detailed as 4K, each frame needing a huge amount of data. Even our home fibre connections might struggle to stream this. The way this is wired up means the 8K telly in the background is effectively my screen on my new mobile device. I'm streaming 8K, and that's partly because of how my phone connects to the mast.
This shows what the base station is doing, actively changing and choosing between different antennae to get the best signal it possibly can and track my mobile phone. But look, if you weren't impressed by the size of this beast, look at the throughput, over 1 gigabit per second.
But the disadvantage of 5G is that it relies on a rough line of sight, so get in the way of the signal and the data stream is disrupted. That's why we need lots of masts. 5G also has a shorter range than its predecessors, so in built-up areas there'll be a mast every 50 to 200 metres or so, and they'll be even closer together inside of buildings. If we're out of range, our mobiles will switch back to existing 4G networks. So why do we need 5G? I asked the man leading the research here and who chairs the world's 5G Standards Council.
One of the key points of the current mobile trend is not only for the mobile phone, but for everything will be connected.
So this is when our fridges are connected, our toaster is connected, our TVs, our cars, everything.
Everything, yeah.
Do we need 5G for that? Or wouldn't 4G be good enough?
4G is limited of the speed, limited of the capacity, limited of the number of connecting devices. It means that everything cannot connect to the mobile network by 4G.
What I didn't know was that my Japanese hosts were holding back their best for last and had prepared a special show just for me. What you're seeing is a world first. 2 mobile receivers, each getting more than 10 gigabits per second while on the move from one mast. That's stupid o'clock data transfer. This is 40 times faster than the theoretical top limit of 4G LTE Advanced, the best out there today. You could download this whole TV show in less time than it would take you to move your finger and click the download this TV show button. Of course, we won't get these speeds to our 5G handsets when they arrive in a few years' time. No, this data connection is for us all to share. Unless you're an early adopter like me and prepared to cart your mobile phone around with you.
Hello? Yeah, Spencer, yeah. No, it's a really clear signal, so you know all about 5G. Okay. Yeah. Great. Over to you. Over to you, mate. Over to you.
Yeah, gotta go, Dan. I'm on a plane to Osaka. Okay, bye. Now, I've learned that in Japan, the sky is the limit. But for the 2020 Olympics, turns out it's not. One of the many projects aiming to make it a spectacular event is something that promises to beat any firework display you've ever seen. A plan to put a microsatellite into orbit that will, at the right moment, fire tiny particles into the atmosphere that will burn up and become on-demand shooting stars. This is Project Sky Canvas. The magic begins in a small pink building in Wakayama.
There you go.
Okay.
So this is the vacuum chamber experiment facility.
Wow. And this is where you simulate space.
Yep, this is where we test out the whole apparatus and the satellite and the devices to make sure that everything works fine and the shooting star particles come out in the space environment. So these are the different prototypes of the shooting star particles that we're experimenting with. And they essentially burn in different colors when they're re-entering the atmosphere.
Oh, wow.
So right now we have blue, orange, and green that have been tested and seen on the ground. We're experimenting with different materials to see colors and different brightnesses.
And what are these made of?
Can't tell.
Secret sauce!
Yep.
They're made from secret sauce.
Yep.
Love secret sauce.
Yep.
And in fact, it took 5 years to get the composition of the particles right so that they burn brightly enough to be seen on the ground from up to 200 kilometers away. All this equipment will eventually be squeezed into a cube satellite measuring 50 centimeters on each side and preloaded with up to 1,000 pellets.
So what's going to happen in outer space is we send a signal saying we want 10 shooting stars over, I don't know, the Big Ben? Is it the Big Ben?
It's
the
yeah,
Big
that'll
Ben.
do. Yeah.
The Big Ben. Then we send it a signal, and that gets here, and the stepping motor essentially makes this turn.
Testing is ongoing to make sure that they can fire the pellets with enough accuracy to be seen at the right time, in the right place, as they fall through the atmosphere at nearly 8 kilometers a second. And in fact, allowing everyone to share in the wonders of the solar system was the reason that astronomer and founder Lena Okajima created the project in the first place.
It was 2001. I went to mountain to watch the shooting stars with my classmates. And it was very nice, wonderful shooting stars. At first, I think this is easy because I just put the small ball into the atmosphere. But step by step, I found it is difficult. Difficult, but it is challenging, not impossible.
I think I can honestly say this is the most fantastic and fantastical project I think I've ever reported on, even from Japan. And that's it from this incredible country. I don't think I've ever been inside a vacuum chamber before, so this could go well. Please do check out Twitter at BBC Click for loads of backstage fun and photos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Hello? Hello?